Sometimes you just can't tell if you're lucky or unlucky. That time, it was a Saturday morning. I had backed out of my driveway and was just heading to the Home Depot Mega Mall to buy some parts to fix the tub in our bathroom when I realized I had a flat tire, and I'd only gone about 30 meters no more. I had to get out of the car and go home to get a hydraulic jack. On the way to the kitchen, I heard Dora talking to someone on the phone. "Don't worry, he won't be a problem." My jingling keys dropping on the counter let her know I was back. In a muffled voice hurriedly, "I have to go." I walk into the kitchen and see her turn around smiling as if nothing had happened. "Hey, honey, you turned around fast." "Flat tire," I mumbled. "Oh, that sucks. Do you need help with that?" "No need. I can handle it myself." It was time to figure out what it all meant. While I changed the tires, I pondered the introductions, deciding to recall all the things Dora had done and said lately, to see if I could spot any clues or warning signs. The first thing that struck me as odd happened the night before. When I got home, Dora complained to me that the bathroom drain in our toilet was nearly clogged again. It wasn't the happiest of information, but why on earth would it even matter exactly at 6 o'clock in the evening? We live in an old house and use the tub as a shower as well. Okay. Wait, that means she showered before I got here. Well, you don't need to read too many stories on these erotic websites to put 2 plus 2 together and figure out what that means. So after changing the tires, I went upstairs to wash my hands. At the same time, I checked the laundry basket and found a wet bath towel left over from last night in Dora's panties, still damp from hand washing. My name is Matt. I've been married to Dora for 4 years. We knew each other in high school, but hadn't dated at the time. One day after graduating from college, we saw each other again, and everything seemed to fall into place. We had an active and healthy sex life before we got married, and it didn't slow down too much until recently. Come to think of it, the first red flag was when our friends, Jim and Diane, got divorced. I was totally on Jim's side for all the crap he put Diane through during the divorce. Dora, on the other hand, somehow couldn't understand how someone with a mild temperament like mine could support such cruel, in her opinion, treatment of a cheating wife. I recalled her clocking, justifying her friend Diane's behavior by saying, maybe it was just sex and that this little mistake shouldn't lead such draconian measures. Look at it this way, Dora. I said to my wife, fidelity is like pregnancy. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's no gray area. There are only 2 numbers on the fidelity scale, either 100% or 0. Looking back, Dora's reaction at the time now spoke volumes to me. We recently bought this old fixer-upper. Until major improvements are made, the place won't sell to anyone unless someone else wants to clean it up. I'm generally pretty handy with tools. The only problem is finding enough time to do it all. Now, in light of my recent discoveries, I didn't feel like bathing. Instead, I just needed to clear my head and collect my thoughts. I headed outside to do some yard work. My indignant mind was boiling with anger, but I didn't know what else to do to get more information. Dora was out in the yard too, crouching nearby tending to her rose bushes. I had already started pruning the trees when suddenly I heard a shrill screech. Dora was stumbling, trying to get up and screaming in panic. Snakey! I smiled. Dora was deathly afraid of snakes. As for me, I find snakes amusing, living ropes with eyes and a split tongue. As I got closer to her bushes, I saw a pencil-thin garter snake and about a foot long on the ground. Kill it! Kill it! Dora yelled from a safe distance. I lied. I don't see anyone. Are you sure? Hell, yes. It was huge. Look closely. While Dora looked out the door, I picked up a foot-long twig from the ground and threw it in her direction. Is that her? A deafening squeal and the sound of a door slamming shut was all I heard. Dora had locked all the doors leading into the house, so I had to apologize at length for throwing the snake at her before I was allowed into our abode. I need to lie down, she moaned. You know, I hate snakes. It wasn't funny at all to throw it at me. As soon as Dora went upstairs, I turned on her cell phone and wrote down the phone she called lately. At the same time, I checked her recent travel history on Google Maps to see what routes she'd made inquiries on. Yesterday, for example, at 2:30 p.m., Dora visited the Parakeet Lounge coffee bar. Putting the puzzle together turned out to be not so difficult. Too many calls to Jacob Sater, her coworker, for it to be a mere coincidence. There weren't many people in our fair city with such a notable last name. And one of them, I believe, is the fruit that lives about 4 miles from our house. Well, I decided to take a drive and look around locally. Turns out the Parakeet Lounge is almost directly adjacent to the America Sleeps Motel. Bam, one down. One to go. I carefully parked a few houses away from Jacob's house and watched him. There were a couple kids playing in the front yard, and a nice lady would occasionally peek out the window and chat with him. I assumed that the man who soon came out of the house was Jacob. After a minute, he got into a car parked outside the house and drove off. I came out of my ambush holding a folder and knocked on the front door. Yes. Can I help you? The pretty lady owner had a nice voice too. Yes, ma'am. I'm updating the census information. Are you, Mrs. Setter? I asked in a businesslike manner. Yes. I am. Opening the folder, I made a note in my papers. I'm sorry. I don't have your name. You have 2 children, don't you? How old are they? My name is Julie. My children are 5 and 7 years old. She replied, nodding and deep, and thought I scribbled some more. And you're still married to Jacob Setter? Yes. She answered easily. Julie then confirmed that Jacob was a manager at the same firm where I knew Dora worked. Well, thank you. That's all I needed. Have a good day. I smiled as I slammed my folder shut and left the Sater's house. Julie, like me until recently, was apparently completely unaware of what her asshole husband and my whore wife were up to. By this time next week, things will be very different. I rejected Dora's attempts at sex on various pretexts, and she didn't seem to pay much attention to my lack of interest. At the same time, I tried to maintain my routine as much as I could. To prepare my plan, I had to use a disposable cell phone. I wanted to be completely sure that what I had so far only suspicions about was really happening. It would be more than embarrassing to burn the ground based on faulty assumptions. On Friday, I took the day off and followed Dora to her work. Setting myself up for a long wait, I spent the morning reading erotic stories about cheating wives on my phone. For some strange reason, stories in the BTB genre have become my favorite at the moment. Around 2:30 p.m., Dora walked down to her car and pulled out of the parking lot. Following her, I kept a decent distance behind her, almost certain that the road would soon lead us both to the now familiar Parakeet Lounge. Indeed, after parking at the Parakeet, Dora headed straight for the motel stairs. I positioned my car so that I had a view of those stairs. A minute later, Jacob joined Dora, and the two of them went up to the second floor where Jacob opened the room with his key. Now I saw everything I needed to see. I dialed my friend Alex's number, letting him know I was heading in his direction, and then started the engine and drove off. Back at home, Dora was quite surprised to find me there, sprawled out on the couch watching TV. I had no doubt that she had just been well fucked and wanted to shower as soon as possible. "Matt, what are you doing home so early?" Lingering in the living room aisle, she asked a little worriedly. I had some urgent business to attend to, so I took the afternoon off. "I see you took the afternoon off too, didn't you?" As if nothing had happened, I asked her a counter question in a steady voice. I wondered what she'd come up with as an excuse. I spilled a drink on myself, so I decided to go home and take a shower. "I'll be down soon and let's go out for steak." Wow. Dora showed impressive agility and quick thinking in an unexpected situation. Wow. I, unlike her, could barely contain myself. While I waited for Dora, I had removed the regular doorknob from the bathroom door and replaced it with one that could only be opened from the bedroom side. The door opened from the bedroom to the bathroom. And now, once inside, Dora would be stuck. In the bathroom itself, We had no window, only a hood in the wall. The door, on the other hand, like all the other doors in the old house, was a rather heavy wooden door. After a while, I tiptoed up the stairs and heard the bathroom door click shut. I pulled the handle from the outside to make sure it was securely locked. A few seconds later, there was a hysterical squeal. Dora was pounding on the door, but the pounding wasn't as loud as her panicked screams. I turned on the radio next to the bed and turned up the volume to drown out the screams. You see, I had borrowed 2 very large snakes, yellow anacondas, from my herpetologist friend Alex. They were each about 2.5 meters long and about the girth of my hand. They were too big to slip under the door, so I put them in the tub and pulled back the curtain. Anacondas aren't poisonous, but when they get really hungry, they can attack. Alex feeds them well, so it'll be a few weeks before they're any more dangerous. Matt, let me out. Let me out, Matt. Please let me out. The screams from the bathroom continued. Maybe Jacob can help you. What's his number? I went to the door and asked loudly. Oh God, I'm sorry, Matt. It was just sex. I love you. Please let me out. Followed by a squeal and a new round of screams. Maybe the snakes were getting a little closer and friendlier to Dora. Then I heard a terrifying rumble. Matt, fuck you. Open the door. Honey, it's just snakes, I said reassuringly from behind the door. But be careful, they're attracted to human fluids like urine, I said, in a slightly concerned tone of voice. Oh, no. No. No, followed by more rattling noises. I think she was throwing whatever she could get her hands on at the scary rustling snakes. Honey, try not to fall asleep in there because that's when they eat and reproduce. I continued to talk nonsense. I heard sobbing from inside. Matt, open the door. I'm sorry. Open the fucking door. Calm down, darling. You'd better turn off the light. Just in case, I've added another freshly invented fact. They get aggressive in bright light. I'll come check on you in a few hours. For the next few hours, amidst the hysterical sobbing, the rumbling sounds of something crashing were heard now and then suddenly, there was a loud thud. Dora must have fallen off the toilet or sink, for after that, her screaming voice changed radically, ringing with panic and ultrasonic terror. Matt, help me, help me. Get off of me, Pennsylvania. Dora, just trying not to scare them. I interjected as she gathered air for another scream. Otherwise, they'll panic and try to crawl into the dark, warm, and damp holes. I blurted out some more nonsense. All this noise and rumbling made it too disturbing to sleep in the bedroom, so I moved to the living room and slept on the couch. In the morning, after brewing a cup of coffee, I climbed the stairs to see what the forecast was for today. How are you doing, darling? I asked through the locked door and listened. I couldn't hear any of the old mess, only grunts and whimpers from inside. Perhaps it was the lack of adequate sleep. I'd have to stop by again at lunchtime and check it out. I spent the morning going through my email and looking at new car offers. Then Dora's friend showed up on the doorstep, picking her up to go somewhere together. Hadn't she called you? I wondered. I'm sorry about that. She didn't sleep well last night, and she's not feeling well at all. She's been acting kind of weird. I'll tell her you stopped by. Every now and then, I heard rumbling and screaming. She must have gotten a little hungry by now too. Are you done showering in there yet? I knocked on the bathroom door. I'm going out for a while to enjoy a nice juicy steak. Bring anything back from there for you. In a very weak voice. Please open the door. Please. I don't have the energy to apologize anymore. What do you want? Well, please open the door. Watch them closely when they intertwine. It's a sign that they are getting aroused. You better not be near them if that happens. I warned her as another idea popped into my head. Open the door. God damn it. The anguished shriek threw me off the tub, followed by more hysterical sobbing and screaming. I had a lot of things to do today that were waiting to be done. The lawn needed mowing, by the way. I paced vigorously in front of the house as I tackled this important and necessary process. Then I watched television all day. After the broadcast of the golf tournament ended, I checked back in to see how the celebration of love and oneness with Fauna World was going. I knocked on the door, hammering Morse code on the wood. "How are you and your lovers doing, dear? They're on me. Get away. Get away. Help me. Help me." Apparently, Dora had dozed off after all. And her yellow lovers took their chance and snuggled up to her, wrapping their temporary roommate in their loving embrace. "I will leave you and your lovers alone. I'll be back in the morning to wish you sweet dreams, dear Matt. Open this door now." What a bossy little thing. Well, I guess I'll leave her in timeout for a while longer. The crying and screaming continued at random times throughout the night. I slept in the distance again, on the now familiar living room couch. With my steaming morning coffee in hand, I climbed the stairs again and put my ear close to the wood paneling. Not a sound could be heard from inside. Maybe she had managed to get some rest after all. I cautiously opened the door. Dora lay passed out, wedged between the wall and the toilet. The bathroom was chaotic and a complete mess. I put the 2 snakes into the canvas bags. Alex had provided it only took a few minutes to put the regular doorknob back on. Then I used my phone to take a video of a ragged Dora, sleeping in the toilet bowl's embrace, and document the damage she had done during her confinement. Finally, I called 911 and informed them that my wife had lost her mind. I had thoughtfully stashed the canvas bags of anacondas in the trunk of my car. When the patrol car arrived, I told them how Dora had first locked herself in the bathroom and then suddenly started trashing it. I didn't know if she was stoned or abusing drugs, but she was screaming something unintelligible and raving about the snakes around her. Yes. She was acting completely paranoid, like she was crazy. Of course, I agree with you officers, she definitely needs some psychiatric help, and I'm willing to sign all the necessary paperwork for my wife to get it. When they tried to move Dora out of the way, she started kicking and screaming, "Snakes, get away from me," and swung her arms wildly at the cops. It took the efforts of 2 burly officers to subdue her. As they took a collapsed Dora outside, they informed me that they would be taking her to the hospital for further observation. Before leaving, the cops took pictures of the upside-down bathroom, checked the lock on the door, jerked the knob back and forth, and searched for snakes without success. On the way to the hospital, I stopped by Alex's house. Both snakes, in my opinion, were not hurt in the slightest and seemed even quite squirmy after their adventures. I promised to treat Alex to a big steak for dinner. I think I deserved at least an Oscar nomination for supporting actor for my performance in the hospital. Couldn't have gotten more sympathy from the nurses and doctors. They assured me that my wife's case, although unusual, happened several times a year. I peered through the window inside the room and saw that the orderlies had Dora securely encased in a straitjacket. The sedatives should help her regain her composure over time. The doctors have convinced me to agree to keep her in observation for at least a week. I don't think this will reflect well on her resume. The report I received a week later was not very encouraging for Dora. Every time someone or something near her moved, she pounced on it and screamed. The patient also kept going on and on about how I had locked her in a bathtub with snakes to punish her for her cheating. Her cheating? How? She's having an affair. I continued to the best of my ability to play my best husband caught off guard role. Someone she works with named Jacob, they told me. Shit. I need to sit down. I don't feel so good. So you think it's guilt that's got her off the rails? The brain is a very complex thing. It's hard to say what caused her to snap. They sympathetically handed me a glass of water. There were no snakes in there. So what's going to happen to her now? I asked her attending doctor. We have drawn up the necessary paperwork to keep your wife under observation for another 2 weeks. He replied, I called my lawyer and asked him to start divorce proceedings. He in turn contacted Dora and Jacob's employer and began working on a settlement agreement. Jacob is a manager at their company, and Dora is not, so they didn't have to mix their bodily fluids in the most outrageous way. While Dora is being treated for her nervous breakdown, she can't be served with divorce papers. No problem, they'll be waiting for her when the medical examiners do release Dora. She'll also have to find another job. I hear Julie's also declared a hunting season on Jacob's former employer. By the way, Jacob himself, I just found out, also went into the same hospital for a little while. Turns out he was bitten by a poisonous snake he found in his car. They had to amputate a few extra fingers. I bought a poster like this and put it up in my office. A snake may shed its skin, but it's still a snake. Remember that before you let certain people into your life.